Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Buddy Daily. I'm Anna, here with my co-host.
And I'm Mark. Hi, folks. It's great to have you back with us. So, Anna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Mark. A bit tired, though. Lately, my days have been packed. I thought all these AI tools were supposed to make life easier, but somehow I feel busier than ever.
Oh, tell me about it. Same here. I've been absolutely swamped with tasks. It's funny, technology is getting so advanced and making everything quicker, yet I'm running around overwhelmed with work. Overwhelmed basically means feeling like you have too much to handle. And that's exactly how I feel sometimes.
I know, right? It's like we were promised a future of leisure and short work days, but reality turned out quite differently. I remember reading that decades ago, some experts predicted we'd all be working just 15 hours a week by now, thanks to automation. Can you imagine? Clearly, that didn't happen. In fact, it feels like the opposite happened.
Exactly. It's a weird paradox. Technology, especially AI, saves us time on individual tasks, yet we end up with more tasks overall. And paradox means a situation that seems contradictory, but is true. It's counterintuitive if you think about it. Counterintuitive means it goes against what you'd expect. You'd expect AI to lighten our workload, not add to it.
It is counterintuitive. We all thought, great, AI will do the boring stuff and we'll relax more or focus only on important things. But here we are, juggling even more responsibilities. I feel like every hour saved by AI just gets filled with another task or two. It reminds me of that saying, work expands to fill the time available. If I finish a report quickly with AI, I end up taking on another report or extra duties in that freed up time, instead of relaxing.
I've noticed that too. Actually, I saw a study recently that found when AI saves time, about 80% of people reallocate those saved minutes to more work tasks. They don't take longer coffee breaks, they just do more. So we're not just imagining it, it's really a trend.
Wow, 80%? That sounds about right. There's always something else to do, isn't there? Sometimes I think it's partly our work culture, like it's imperative to stay productive. Imperative means something is very important or necessary. Many of us feel guilty for not constantly busy. Plus, if your boss knows you have a smart tool helping you, they might expect you to handle even more tasks. It's like, hey, you finished that already? Great, here's some more.
Yes, exactly. I've actually had that happen. I used an AI tool to automate scheduling meetings. It was so fast. As soon as I had a bit of breathing room, I got pulled into another project at work. I can't really complain because I did have the time, but it shows how quickly free time gets filled.
Right. And it's not just others giving us more work. Sometimes we choose to do more because we can. I'll admit, when AI handles the tedious stuff for me, the boring, repetitive tasks, I tend to take on additional projects or spend more time perfecting things. Tedious tasks are those monotonous, dull chores no one enjoys. With those out of the way, I often think, oh, now I have time to do X as well. So I end up working on something extra instead of calling it a day early.
Same here. I had a small report to rate that normally would have taken me all morning, but with an AI writing assistant, I finished super fast. Instead of relaxing, I thought, why not start another report that's due next week? I kind of volunteered myself for more work. Part of that is because sometimes the work is more interesting when AI helps. I mean, I'd rather let the AI sort data or transcribe a meeting while I do the creative analysis or brainstorming. That creative stuff is more fulfilling for me. Fulfilling meaning it gives a sense of satisfaction or meaning.
That's a good point. I feel the same. The tasks we're doing now tend to be higher value or more creative, which can be energizing in a way. It's like, I enjoy some of the extra work because it's interesting and not just busy work. One could argue we're working more, but maybe not hating it as much because AI has filtered out some of the drudgery.
Right. It's not black and white. This situation is pretty nuanced. Nuanced means it's not a simple, clear-cut issue. There are many subtle factors. On one hand, we have this risk of doing too much and getting stressed. On the other hand, some of the work is now more engaging and less mind-numbing than before. I've read stories of people who say, I'm doing twice as much work, but I actually feel better about it because it's interesting work. They find a purpose or creativity in it.
Absolutely. I saw an article about someone who integrated AI into their workflow and ended up doubling their output, but felt happier because the additional work was creative and meaningful to them. They weren't stuck doing monotonous data entry anymore. They were focusing on strategy and big ideas. So in their case, working more actually felt rewarding rather than exhausting.
That makes sense. I guess AI can change what kind of work we do. If it takes away the boring tasks, we're left with the complex or creative tasks. I personally prefer dealing with creative challenges over doing the same copy-paste job all day. But there's a flip side. Every task left for us now tends to be more complex or requires serious thought. There are fewer easy, no-brainer tasks in between to give us a mental break.
Exactly. Earlier, a workday might have included some straightforward, simple tasks, like filing forms or scheduling, which gave your brain a little rest between big projects. Now, if AI handles all those simple things, we spend our whole day on the high cognitive load tasks. Cognitive load refers to the mental effort we use. So if all day I'm solving tough problems or making big decisions, which are mentally demanding, I get tired more quickly. It's like doing a high-intensity workout with no breaks, mentally exhausting.
Oh, I feel that. By the end of a day full of back-to-back challenging tasks, my brain is fried. And I mentioned mental breaks. Sometimes I miss those moments of doing something mindless, like alphabetizing files or walking to the copier. As silly as that sounds, those little breaks helped me recharge.
I completely agree. Now it's just one problem after another, thanks to AI taking care of the easy stuff. It's great that the boring tasks are gone, but no breaks at all can exacerbate fatigue. Exacerbate means to make something worse. So an unbroken chain of complex tasks can exacerbate our stress levels if we're not careful.
And speaking of stress, we should talk about that. It's not all rosy feeling engaged at work. There's a dark side to this constant productivity push. I've seen colleagues on the verge of burnout. Burnout is that state of extreme exhaustion and mental distance from work that comes after prolonged stress. If you're burned out, you feel empty and unable to cope with work demands.
Unfortunately, it's becoming more common. I read some research that found employees who use AI heavily at work actually reported higher burnout rates. Like, the study said around 45% of heavy AI users felt burnt out, whereas for people who don't use AI much, it was about 35%. Isn't that ironic? The tools meant to reduce workload can contribute to burnout if they just make us do even more.
Wow, those numbers really hit it home. 45% burnout rate is huge. It shows that if we just keep cramming more and more tasks into our day because AI made us faster, we risk our health and well-being. Honestly, I have to remind myself to set limits. Just because I can do more doesn't mean I always should.
Exactly. The human brain and body still have limits. Another thing I've noticed, with all these AI tools, I'm constantly multitasking and switching between things. Multitasking means doing multiple tasks at the same time or back to back. I might be writing an email, then an AI chat notification pops up, then I'm checking a data report, then back to the email. This constant context switching, jumping between different tasks or apps, is so distracting.
Oh gosh, yes. Context switching is exhausting. One minute I'm in a video meeting, the next I'm on Slack responding to messages, then reviewing AI-generated content. Each switch, my brain has to refocus. I read somewhere that frequent interruptions in switching can really hurt productivity. Like, it can waste up to 40% of our productive time. Can you believe that? Almost half your workday potentially lost just from all the start, stop, refocus, start again.
Whistle, 40% of time lost? That's massive, and it definitely raises stress. I know if I get pinged by notifications every 5 minutes, by lunch, I feel totally frazzled. Speaking of which, I also saw a survey that said over half of workers, about 56%, feel they must respond to notifications immediately. I'm definitely one of those people. When my phone or computer dings, I feel this urgent need to check it. These intrusive notifications, intrusive meaning they interrupt you unwantedly, make it hard to concentrate. It's like our attention is constantly under attack.
I can relate. I've had to turn off some notifications just to get anything done. It's a bit of a dilemma because you want to stay responsive, but if you do, you never get sustained focus. And dilemma means a difficult choice or situation where both options have drawbacks. In this case, the choice between staying available to everyone versus getting your deep work done.
Definitely a dilemma. And you know, aside from the tech and tasks themselves, there's also a psychological aspect. People are anxious about their jobs. Like, I've heard some coworkers say they feel they have to prove their worth so the company doesn't replace them with AI. That anxiety can drive people to work longer hours or take on more tasks just to appear indispensable. It's sometimes called performative busyness. Basically, performing or showing off how busy you are just to signal that you're valuable. It's not a healthy habit, but I get why people do it when they're worried about AI taking their job.
Right, there's an underlying anxiety for some. They think if I pause or slow down, maybe the AI could do this faster. Will I still be needed? It's a tough spot. But in reality, totally burning ourselves out isn't the answer either. Ideally, companies and we as individuals should find a balance. AI is a tool to help us, but we have to set boundaries on our workload.
I agree 100%. Like, it's imperative to find that balance and work smarter, not just constantly harder. Remember, imperative means very important. Maybe that means actually allowing ourselves to enjoy some of the time savings as free time or creative thinking time, rather than immediately loading up more work. And it definitely means ensuring the extra work we take on is reasonable.
Also, perhaps workplaces need to adjust expectations. Just because I can technically do 10 things in a day with AI now doesn't mean I should have 10 things assigned every day. There has to be recognition that humans need breaks and that more output isn't always better if quality or employee health suffers. This is something managers and leaders are starting to understand, I hope. Some companies are even implementing policies to prevent overload, like focus days with no meetings, or encouraging employees to actually use that saved time for learning or rest.
That's a great point. AI should ideally be a tool that augments our work. Augments meaning to enhance or add to it, not a whip to make us sprint until we collapse. The best scenario is we use AI to do things more efficiently, and then we either improve the quality of our work or maybe work the same amount and go home earlier, like me. Like, imagine actually maintaining the same workload and having free afternoons. That would be living the dream, right?
One can dream. And some people do use the time in positive ways. I've heard of folks using the hour AI saved them to, say, brainstorm new ideas, or even to hit the gym or spend time with family, things that improve their overall well-being. In a way, that's what these tools should allow us to do. Focus on what truly matters, whether it's higher value work or personal life.
Exactly. Ultimately, AI is a tool, and how our lives change depends a lot on how we use that tool. If we mindlessly let it push us into overdrive, we'll end up stressed. But if we use it wisely, we could actually improve our work-life balance. It's up to organizations and individuals to make thoughtful choices. This might mean consciously saying, all right, I finished my tasks early thanks to AI. I'm going to spend the next hour brainstorming strategy, or I'll actually take a break to recharge instead of just seeking out more busy work to fill the gap.
Well said. We have to remind ourselves that breaks and downtime are not a bad thing. Rest is productive in its own way. It keeps us from burning out and lets us come back sharper. There's no prize for being the most burnt out person with the longest to-do list.
Very true. And hey, I think it's time for us to recap some of the interesting words we used today, especially for our listeners who are here to improve their English. We covered quite a few advanced words and phrases in this chat. Let's go over those real quick and explain them in simple terms.
Good idea. One of the first words we used was overwhelmed. I said I felt overwhelmed. If you're overwhelmed, it means you're feeling overloaded or like you have too much to cope with. For example, if you have 10 tasks to do at once, you might feel overwhelmed, as if it's just too much to handle.
Right. We also mentioned paradox. We called this situation a paradox. A paradox is a situation that seems to contradict itself, but is true. In our context, the paradox is that AI makes work faster, yet we end up with more work. That sounds contradictory, but it's really happening.
Exactly. Another term that came up was multitasking. Multitasking means trying to do multiple tasks at the same time or rapidly switching between tasks. For instance, answering emails while on a conference call and checking messages, that's multitasking. It often makes you less efficient even though people do it to try to save time.
We also talked about cognitive load. Cognitive relates to thinking or the brain, and load is like a burden. So, cognitive load means the amount of mental effort or brain power something requires. If a task has a high cognitive load, it means it takes a lot of concentration and mental energy.
And related to that, we discussed context switching. This is an important phrase. Context switching means moving your attention from one context or task to another. Imagine you're focused on writing, then you suddenly switch to a meeting, then switch to coding, and so on. Each time you have to switch context. It's like changing gears in your brain. We learned that doing this too often can really drain your efficiency.
Another word, automation. We said AI can automate tedious tasks. Automation means using technology to do something automatically without human effort. To automate a task, that's the verb, is to have a machine or software handle it for you. For example, an email filter that automatically sorts your mail is a form of automation.
Yes, and we used the word tedious. We described some tasks as tedious. Tedious means boring and repetitive, the kind of task that makes you sigh and think, ugh, not this again. For example, copying data from one spreadsheet to another can be tedious work. So when we said AI takes over tedious tasks, we meant AI handles the boring, monotonous chores so that we don't have to.
On the flip side, we used fulfilling. We said some work is more fulfilling now. If something is fulfilling, it means it's satisfying. It gives you a sense of accomplishment or happiness. Doing work that you find meaningful, like creating something or helping someone, can feel very fulfilling as opposed to work that feels pointless.
We also mentioned counterintuitive. That was when we discussed how it's counterintuitive that technology makes us busier. Counterintuitive means contrary to what intuition or common sense would suggest. It's like saying, it's surprising because you would think the opposite is true. It's counterintuitive that saving time leads to having less free time, for example.
Another good one, exacerbate. I use that when talking about stress. To exacerbate means to make a problem worse. So if I say constant interruptions exacerbate my stress, I mean they intensify my stress, making me more stressed than I was before.
We threw in the word ubiquitous as well. I think I said AI is becoming ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means something is everywhere, very common or present all over the place. If AI is ubiquitous, it means you find AI technology in every corner of life, from your phone to your workplace software.
We noted that it's imperative to find balance. Imperative means absolutely necessary or extremely important. So saying it's imperative to take breaks is like saying taking breaks is crucially important.
I also described the issue as nuanced. Remember, nuanced means not simple or clear-cut. There are levels of detail and subtle points to consider. When a topic is nuanced, you can't just say it's all good or all bad. There's complexity to it.
And I used the word dilemma. We talked about the dilemma of either taking a rest or doing more work. A dilemma is a difficult choice between two often undesirable or challenging options. If you're in a dilemma, it means it's hard to decide what's the right thing to do because both choices have pros and cons.
Lastly, we mentioned intrusive, like intrusive notifications. If something is intrusive, it means it intrudes or interferes with what you're doing in an unwelcome way. An intrusive notification is one of those pop-ups or alerts that forces its way into your attention when you're trying to focus, kind of like someone bursting into your room while you're studying.
Great job. Those are some of the key vocabulary words we highlighted today. We hope our explanations make them clear. Hearing them in context like this can help you understand and remember them.
Definitely. So, to wrap up our discussion, AI is making tasks faster and easier in many ways. But as we explored, it also means we're often doing more than ever and facing new challenges in managing our time and stress. It's a balance we all have to figure out.
The world is always changing and technology isn't slowing down. But if we stay aware of these dynamics, we can try to get the best out of AI, more productivity and more time for ourselves, ideally, rather than getting caught up in an endless cycle of work.
Well said, Anna. And on that note, we'll conclude today's episode. Thank you to all our listeners for tuning in.
Yes, thank you, everyone. We hope you found this conversation both informative and enjoyable. If you learned something new, whether about AI's impact on our work or some new English vocabulary, then we've done our job.
Great. We'll be back soon with another interesting topic on English Buddy Daily. Until next time, take care and remember to work smarter, not just harder.
Great advice. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye-bye.